60 weeks after people stop GLP-1 weight loss drugs, the average person has already regained about 60% of the weight they lost. Not because they suddenly forgot how to eat, not because the medication was fake, because the old hunger system comes back online. That is the part of the Ozempic story most people skip. We talk about the dramatic before and after photo. We talk about the side effects. We talk about celebrities, shortages, shame, and the price of the prescription. But the most important question is quieter. What happens to your biology when the shot is gone, the food noise returns, and the scale starts moving in the wrong direction? Today I want to show you why the weight comes back, why that rebound is not a character flaw, and why a new experimental procedure people are already calling a gut reset may point to the next phase of obesity medicine. Not a stronger appetite blocker, something stranger, a possible attempt to change the tissue that helps create the appetite signal in the first place. And stay with me, because the most dangerous rebound is not simply gaining weight again. The dangerous version is losing muscle on the way down, then regaining mostly fat on the way up. Same body weight, worse biology. Let's clear away two myths first. The first myth is that Ozempic works because it gives people discipline. It does not. Semaglutide, the active drug behind Ozempic and Wegovy, imitates a hormone called GLP-1. Your gut releases GLP-1 after you eat. It tells the pancreas to release insulin when glucose rises. It slows the movement of food out of the stomach, and it sends signals into the brain that make food feel less urgent. That last part matters. Many people on GLP-1 therapy describe the same experience. For the first time in years, the constant mental noise about food gets quieter. They do not spend the whole afternoon negotiating with a craving. They do not feel pulled toward the pantry every 20 minutes. They finally understand how some people can just leave food on a plate and move on with their day. If you have never lived with food noise, that may sound like an excuse. If you have lived with it, you know it can feel like a second mind running in the background. The second myth is the opposite one, that because GLP-1 drugs are biological, they solve the biology permanently. That is where the evidence gets uncomfortable. In the Step 1 extension, after people stopped semaglutide and stopped the structured lifestyle program from the trial, they regained about 2/3 of the weight they had lost over the next year. In 2026, a BMJ systematic review found that weight comes back quickly after stopping weight management medication, and that regain appears especially fast after newer incretin drugs such as semaglutide and tirzepatide. A Cambridge analysis published in eClinical Medicine estimated that by 52 weeks after stopping GLP-1 receptor agonists, people had regained about 60% of their original weight loss. Pause on that. If someone loses 40 pounds, 60% regain is not a small fluctuation. That is 24 pounds coming back. And the emotional effect can be brutal because the person often thinks, I finally escaped this. Why is my body pulling me back? Here is the answer. The body does not defend your goal weight. It defends familiar patterns. Fat tissue is not just stored energy, it is an endocrine organ. It sends hormonal messages. When fat mass falls, leptin falls. When leptin falls, the brain hears a lower energy state. Hunger can rise, energy expenditure can fall. Reward circuits can become more reactive to food. The body becomes more efficient, which sounds nice until you realize that efficiency means you burn fewer calories doing the same life. This is why ordinary diet regain feels so unfair. GLP-1 rebound can feel even sharper because the medication was not just reducing calories. It was changing the signal architecture. Gut, pancreas, stomach, brain, liver, fat tissue, all speaking in a different tone. When the drug stops, the old conversation can restart. Let me show you exactly what is happening at the molecular level, because this is the part that changes how you understand everything else. GLP-1 receptors are not sitting in one little corner of the body. They are part of a network. In the pancreas, they help insulin respond to glucose. In the stomach, they slow gastric emptying, which changes how quickly food enters the small intestine. In the brainstem and hypothalamus, they influence hunger and satiety before your conscious mind has a vote. And in reward pathways, they can make food feel less commanding. That is why these drugs can feel so powerful. They are not shouting at you to try harder. They are lowering the volume of a signal that was too loud. But there is a third piece that almost no casual Ozempic conversation includes: body composition. The scale is loud, muscle is quiet. When people lose weight quickly, some of the loss can come from lean mass. That does not mean GLP-1 drugs are uniquely destroying muscle. Weight loss of almost any kind can reduce lean mass if training and protein are not protected. But with GLP-1 therapy, appetite can fall so much that people accidentally undereat the very nutrients they need to keep muscle. They eat less overall, move less because they feel nauseated or low energy, and celebrate the scale without asking what kind of tissue is disappearing. That is where the rebound can become dangerous. Imagine two people, both lose 40 pounds. The first loses mostly fat and protects muscle through resistance training, protein, and medical supervision. The second loses fat but also loses a meaningful amount of lean mass. Then both stop the drug. Food noise returns. Weight comes back. But if the second person regains mostly fat, the body may end up lighter than before and metabolically weaker than before. That is the trap. The nightmare scenario is not, I took Ozempic and gained the weight back. The nightmare scenario is, I lost my metabolic engine on the way down, then rebuilt the wrong tissue on the way up. Once you see that, the whole strategy changes. You stop asking, how fast can I lose weight? You start asking, what am I protecting while the weight is dropping? Now we can talk about the gut reset. The duodenum is the first part of the small intestine after the stomach. Most people imagine it as plumbing. Food passes through, nutrients get absorbed, the story moves on. But the duodenum is not passive plumbing. It is a sensing surface. It detects nutrients, bile acids, fat, sugar, and amino acids. It helps coordinate hormonal signals after meals. It speaks to the liver, pancreas, and brain. After years of metabolic stress, especially high sugar and high fat dietary patterns, researchers think the lining of the duodenum may become part of a distorted signal system. The tissue may help maintain insulin resistance and abnormal post-meal signaling. In simple language, the gut may remember the old metabolic environment. Duodenal mucosal resurfacing, or DMR, is an endoscopic procedure designed to resurface that lining. A doctor passes an endoscope into the upper small intestine and uses controlled heat to ablate part of the mucosal surface. The idea is that healthier tissue regenerates, and the new surface may send a better metabolic signal. I want to be very clear, this is not a home biohack. This is not a recommendation. In the United States, this approach remains investigational. The early data are promising, but early data are not the same as settled medicine. Still, the reason DMR matters is not just the procedure. It is the question behind the procedure. What if long-term obesity is not only stored in fat cells and brain circuits? What if part of it is stored in the gut lining itself? This is not speculation. Here is the research. In interim Remain-1 data reported in 2026, participants first lost at least 15% of body weight on tirzepatide, then stopped the medication. Some received real duodenal mucosal resurfacing. Others received a sham procedure. 6 months later, the DMR group regained less weight. The people who had more tissue resurfaced reportedly regained about 7 pounds on average and maintained more than 80% of their prior weight loss, while sham controls regained more. Again, we have to hold this carefully. The early report involved a limited interim group, and larger results still matter. We need durability, safety, replication, access, and real-world outcomes. But the signal is fascinating because it suggests obesity treatment may move beyond a single question, how do we suppress appetite, into a deeper question, can we change the biological surfaces that generate the appetite and insulin signals? That is a different kind of medicine, and it explains why the public conversation around Ozempic is still too shallow. People argue as if there are only two sides. One side says these drugs are miracles, the other says they are cheating. Both sides miss the point. GLP-1 drugs revealed something more important than a shortcut. They revealed that appetite is engineered by biology, and that biology can be altered. That does not make the drugs harmless, it makes them serious. Semaglutide has also moved beyond cosmetic weight loss. In the SELECT trial, adults with overweight or obesity and established cardiovascular disease, but without diabetes, had fewer major adverse cardiovascular events on semaglutide than on placebo. That matters. It means we are not only talking about genes and jaw lines, we are talking about blood vessels, inflammation, glucose control, fat tissue, heart risk, and the long-term cost of metabolic disease. But serious tools require serious plans. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, gallbladder problems, pancreatitis concerns, diabetic retinopathy risk in certain diabetes contexts, kidney injury related to dehydration, medication interactions, cost, supply, and long-term adherence all matter. A person should not start, stop, or change a GLP-1 medication casually. This belongs in a medical plan, not a trend cycle. The most common failure is not that the drug fails. The most common failure is that the plan is too small. The plan is often, take the injection, eat less, watch the scale. That is not enough. A viewer who wants the best chance of keeping results needs an exit strategy before the exit. Not in the last month, in the first month. Here is the viewer first version. Number 1. Protect muscle from the beginning. Resistance training is not optional decoration. It is the signal that tells the body, this tissue is still needed. 2 or 3 focus sessions a week can change the meaning of the weight loss. You are not just becoming smaller, you are preserving the machinery that helps keep glucose under control. Number 2. Protein has to survive the appetite drop. If the drug makes you eat very little, it becomes easier to miss protein without noticing. That is a problem. The goal is not to force feed. The goal is to make protein the anchor of meals, so the body has the building material it needs while fat is coming down. Number 3. Track something besides weight. Waist circumference, blood pressure, HbA1c if relevant, triglycerides, liver enzymes, strength and key movements, resting heart rate, step count, body composition if you have access to a reliable method. The scale tells you the headline. These markers tell you whether the story is improving. Number 4. Rebuild the food environment while the noise is quiet. This is the window most people waste. When food noise is lower, it is easier to remove trigger foods from the house, build repeatable meals, create a grocery pattern, reduce alcohol, and find a breakfast or lunch you can eat on a chaotic workday. Do that while the medication is helping. Do not wait until the old hunger volume is back. Number 5. Decide with a clinician what maintenance actually means. For some people, it may mean continuing medication long-term. For others, a lower dose, a different drug, a structured taper, or stopping under supervision may be considered. For others, cost or side effects may force a different path. But the question should not be, how do I prove I do not need help? The question should be, what level of support keeps my biology from returning to the old trajectory? That is a more honest question. We do this with blood pressure. We do this with cholesterol. We do this with depression, asthma, autoimmune disease, and diabetes. We understand that chronic systems often need long-term support. Yet with obesity, people still talk as if needing support means moral failure. It does not. But support is not the same thing as passivity. If GLP-1 therapy gives you a period of quiet, use that quiet. Build strength, build meals, build sleep, build a medical follow-up plan. Build a way of living that does not collapse the moment hunger gets louder. Because after Ozempic, the question is not whether you were strong enough. The question is whether you used the quiet period to change the system. That may be the central lesson of this entire era. Ozempic did not show us that people are weak. It showed us that appetite is a signal system. Weight regain after stopping GLP-1 drugs does not prove the drugs are useless. It proves obesity has memory. Some of that memory is in the brain, some is in fat tissue, some may be in muscle loss, and now maybe some of it is in the lining of the gut. What I have shown you today is not the edge of what is known. It is closer to the center of it. The next episode should be about the number almost nobody tracks during GLP-1 weight loss, how much muscle you keep while the fat disappears. Because if you lose weight fast but lose the engine that helps maintain that weight, the scale can applaud while your biology quietly becomes more fragile. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Should GLP-1 drugs be treated like short-term weight loss tools or like long-term therapy for a chronic biological system? And if the gut reset data holds up, would you consider changing the gut signal itself, or does that cross a line for you?